In the bulletin this afternoon, President John Dramani Mahama calls on African leaders to work together to build a future where justice prevails in healing the wounds of the past. Also in the bulletin, Chief Executive Officer of Cocoa Board, Dr. Randy Abbe, says the organization is taking steps to ensure full compliance with European Union regulations on the permissible levels of chemical residues in cocoa beans. And National Youth Authority CEO cautions apprenticeship guarantors that candidates dropping out must repay government allowances. Details of these and more stories coming your way in the next hour if you stay with us here on TV3. President John Dramani Mahama is urging African leaders to work together to build a future where justice prevails in healing the wounds of the past. Speaking on the occasion of Africa Day, the president says the collective effort of Africans should be geared towards healing and offering the full potential persons of African descent.
Fellow Africans, esteemed leaders, brothers and sisters of the African continent, it is with great honor that I address you today on the occasion of Africa Day 2025. As we gather in Addis Ababa and connect across our vast continent and beyond, we celebrate our resilience, our rich heritage, and our unwavering spirit. This year, our celebration is particularly significant. The African Union has declared 2025 as the year for justice for Africans and people of African descent through reparations. As the AU champion for this critical cause, I'm deeply committed to working with you all to achieve this vital objective. For too long, the legacy of slavery, colonialism, and neocolonialism has cast a long shadow on the lives and progress of Africans and people of African descent. These historical injustices have left deep scars. Reparations are not merely about financial compensation, they're about acknowledging the profound and enduring damage inflicted upon our people. They're about confronting the uncomfortable truths of our past and taking concrete steps to rectify these wrongs. We seek justice, justice that encompasses a comprehensive range of measures, including official and unequivocal apologies from the nations and institutions responsible for perpetrating these historical injustices, addressing the crippling debt burden that continues to stifle economic growth in many African nations, a direct consequence of exploitation and unfair trade practices, providing resources and expertise to empower African nations to achieve sustainable development and participate fully in the global economy, returning stolen artifacts and cultural treasures that rightfully belong to our heritage, investing in the educational initiatives to promote a deeper understanding of African history, culture, and contributions to the world. This is not a simple task. It requires courage, determination, and a unified front. It requires us to engage in meaningful dialogue with those responsible and to advocate tirelessly for our rights. I call upon my colleague African leaders, civil society organizations and youth groups, and members of the diaspora to join hands in this important endeavor. Let us work together to build a future where justice prevails, where the wounds of the past are healed, and where the potential of every African and person of African descent is fully realized. Let Africa Day 2025 be a turning point. Let us reaffirm our commitment to building a continent of prosperity, opportunity, and equality for all our people. Let the pursuit of reparations be a testament to our resilience, our determination, and our unwavering belief in a brighter future. Happy Africa Day. Let us move together, united in purpose, towards a just and equitable future for all Africans and people of African descent.
Let's understand this better, and joining us on Zoom is Dr. Daniel Rammani Suyenzi, who is a senior research fellow at the University of Ghana for the Center for International Affairs and Diplomacy at the University of Ghana, and he is going to help us break things down to understand this better. So thank you so much for your time. How significant is the African Union's declaration of 2025 as the year for reparatory justice in terms of international diplomacy and historical accountability?
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, dear listeners and viewers. Yeah, this is a very important day in the life of Africa. And I believe that African Union, which originated from OAU, until 2022, we took a new name of African Union. It's a very important continental body where African heads of states come into it, and that is the body of all our heads of states. And it's there, the essence of it all is we have to go back to history. What was the legacy, the forefathers of Africa, Kwame Nkrumah, Haile Selassie, Kenyatta, all these people, and Julius Nyerere, what all that they have is that it should be a continent, well united, one government, one currency. These visions, we are still pursuing them because they are very, very important. If the continent remains divided, we will not be able to achieve it. And the theme this year is very, very crucial, not just about the financial compensation, but those who inflicted pain on the continent of Africa through colonialism, slavery, apartheid in South Africa, racial segregation, ought to admit of this past wrongs. And that should be enough. And Africa will move ahead. We do not only call for that financial compensation, which is very important, but some apology. Once you're wrong, you apologize. And as a continent, we have to take our own destiny in our own hands. Path and the path of what?
Absolutely.
Unity, not divided by language, good governance, tap into our resources. Ali Mazuri said in Africa, the richest in terms of resources, but poor. We need to tap into our resources and move forward. Pick up our trade barriers, and that is the way forward for us.
That's very well noted. But how might this AU initiative influence global conversations and policies on reparations for slavery and colonialism, particularly in Europe and the Americas?
Of course. President's speech and the other Angolan president and even the AU commissioner, they made mention of African Union as part of the G20. And that is a very global, important forum in which the continent can use to reflect and to talk to other countries within the global south and even in EU. And so this is a very important, African Union is very powerful. It's a continental body that we, through this team, will be able to tell the world the wrongs of the past and the way forward. So African Union is the right avenue. Don't forget, apart from African Union, we also have other bodies like BRICS, which also is across continental. South Africa, as a very powerful member, will be able to send a message. China, very powerful. Brazil, and African Union equally have several forums that it exchanges with European Union. And so we have all these avenues to be able to let the others know the wrongs of the past and the way forward.
Right. Could this reparations movement shift geopolitical alliances, especially with the global south increasingly being vocal about historical injustices?
Well, it may not necessarily change the geopolitics, but of course, in another way, yes. Once the countries of the global south are increasingly become powerful, having a voice, embrace. As I said, South Africa have a voice there. And even African Union has quite a number of forums that interact with EU. It has a forum that it deals with the Americans. So these are all very important areas that the continent will be able to move and let these people know the injustices of the past. And all that Africa is asking is to admit of these past errors, not necessarily the financial. Once you admit, that is the way forward to go. Don't forget, just a few days ago, France have to release some artifacts to Dahomey, that is today's Benin, because the people of Abomey lost a lot of colonial archival records. Very important things were returned to them. And not just returning, but apology. These are things that we need to be able to move forward. That once you have taken something wrongfully from someone, you ought to apologize. even if you do not give a financial compensation, but the apology is very important so that we can move forward. And as Africans, we have set our own agenda, which is an African Agenda 2063, a continent that we have our own aspirations. And we need to come together to make sure that every member state of the African Union work towards this aspiration. And we will soon have a continent that will not only be specialized in raw material, but we also take the path of industrialization like the Asian giant. That is where African leaders are calling. Let's unite, not language barriers. Let's remove our trade tariffs and let's look all the barriers so that we can move to what our forefathers have said, a united continent, one government, one people, and that is the way for us.
You're so passionate about the topic. Happy AU Day to you.
Thank you. Also, happy AU Day.
Right, thank you so much for the insightful discussion. And Dr. Daniel Rammani Kipo-Sunyenzi is a senior research fellow at the Legon Center for International Affairs and Diplomacy at the University of Ghana. Away from that, the Chief Executive Officer of Cocoa Board, Dr. Randy Abbe, says the organization is taking steps to ensure full compliance with European Union regulations on the permissible levels of chemical residues in cocoa beans. He raised concerns about the activities of illegal miners who use harmful chemicals such as cyanide and mercury, which have already destroyed several hectares of cocoa plantations, with many more currently under threat. Dr. Abbe spoke with Kemini Amano on hot issues, which will air this afternoon at 2 p.m.
Another issue you'd have to deal with when it comes to production and the quality of cocoa beans is illegal mining.
Yes.
The EU market, which is one of our largest, is concerned about some of these issues.
Yes.
Also concerned about child labor use in cocoa bean production.
Yes.
Talk to us about how you're meeting these regulations.
So there's the EUDR, which is the EU deforestation regime. And the deadline is actually 30th of December. But I can assure you, 2 days ago, people from the European Commission were at our office to meet us. I've met with the EU ambassador and another team. They are impressed with where we are so far. I mean, our system is up and running. We're running with some 8 of the LBCs. And we have a traceability system, where you can actually trace every batch of cocoa to the actual farm where that cocoa was harvested. We have that system in place.
Yeah.
And so we are more than ready to deliver on the EUDR, and we intend to use it when we start our 25-26 season. The deadline is 30th of December. We're sure that we'll meet that particular deadline. On the issue of the child labor, we have a system, and we are dealing with those issues. We're ensuring that the farmers are also educated. So we're ensuring that we do not have what you call hazardous thing where the kids are doing things that are dangerous, like dealing with agrochemicals or actually carrying loads that are more than 20% their weight size and all those things. Under the World Bank project, we're working with the Gender Ministry and all that on issues of child labor and the Ministry of Labor Relations as well. So I think that we are quite compliant on these issues, and we should be fine.
I see. But, I mean, the bean quality and illegal mining, the impact illegal mining or, Galamsey is having on the soil.
Yes.
Are you dealing with that too?
Yes,
How are you doing?
we have a problem with it. For example, Japan has a requirement, which is that we test for heavy metals, including lead. So we have a lab at TEMA, the quality control lab, which also has to test for those that are going to Japan. So we are even ready, such that if Europe even decides to do that, but this testing only deals with ensuring that the beans that are exported do not contain these heavy metals or these contaminants and all that. But
Key Points airs at 2 p.m., so do make some time to watch. Away from that, the hot issues, I beg your pardon. Away from that, the presiding bishop of Methodist Church Ghana is calling for a bipartisan action against illegal mining. Most Reverend Professor Johnson Kwabena Asamoah Jedu proposes a cross-party committee to tackle the menace following a 6-day visit to Takwa Diocese, where he witnessed the devastating impact.
haven't complained so much about Galamsey, a way will be found to deal with it. We can't talk about this menace without blaming our political leaders and politicians, because sometimes they give the impression that if you give us the mandate, we are going to help you to do it in a decent manner. But they are never able to come up with any solution. So for especially the two parties who have governed this country since 1992, the NPP and NDC, I think this is something that we have to approach in a bipartisan manner. Politicization of such things do not help any country. Now I'm looking for the day in which we'll have a cross-party committee that deals with it so that we remove the politics from it, because it's the future of our country, it's the future of our children. So amidst the joy and the exuberance of worship, I think this is one thing that I would say is a downside.
Investments in sustainable forestry practices that prioritize addressing illegal mining and logging activities, enforcing regulations, and promoting sustainable practices has been identified as a key strategy in dealing with harmful environmental issues that threaten the ecosystem. By addressing these challenges and implementing effective conservation strategies, Ghana can ensure the long-term health and sustainability of its forest resources.
Unlike other protected forest reserves in the country, where illegal mining and logging activities are being carried out, the Moly National Park in the Savannah region has not been affected. However, the Moly National Park, which is Ghana's largest and most prestigious protected area, is under threat of illegal loggers and poachers who are said to be taking advantage of the inadequacy of staff and security at the facility. The activities of poachers, for instance, is endangering large tracts of animal species at the park. Speaking to journalists on a full-day visit to the park, Moly Park manager Ali Mahama emphasized the importance of conserving and protecting biodiversity at the park.
I would say it's a great potential for the Ghana government, and we can make a lot of revenue out of the park whilst we are conserving and protecting the biodiversity that we have in the park. And one critical thing that we can do, or the government can support us to do, is to help us open the park up. We have a lot of resources in the park. We have a lot of attractions in the park that are not yet exploited, that we are yet to explore for the benefit of tourists or our guests that come into the park.
He called on government to open up the park to drive its full potentials.
Just have about close to about 20% of the park having road network. Almost 80% is inaccessible. It even makes our deployment, law enforcement deployment, very, very difficult, getting staff to some of these critical areas to protect the place. So we are calling on the government once again to help us to open up the park. And once that is done, we can drive the full potentials, benefits of Moly National Park.
Tourism officer for Moly National Park, Patience Tete, implored the Ghana Education Service to include a subject on conservation at the basic level.
For the education, or to the education minister, I will suggest or recommend that conservation, or maybe a course that relates to conservation, should be added to the curriculum, because once you start with them in that manner, it grows with them, it stays with them, and they're able to preach it wherever they go. And in the end, they become ambassadors of conservation. You know, conservation is virtually life. You are conserving life. So if they don't take it from the scratch, it's very difficult when they grow to become or act the way they are supposed to act.
The chiefs and people of Tuwe, Kasalgo and Empaha traditional areas in the central Goja district of the Savannah region are making a strong case for the creation of a district out of the central Goja district to facilitate development. They emphasize that decentralization is key to the development, especially for deprived communities. The central Goja district is the largest district in terms of landmarks in the country. Let's engage with my colleague Christopher Amwako, who is joining us live on Zoom. Chris, many thanks for your time. How is development in the area looking like?
Yes, so Godwin, because of the vast nature of the Central Goja district, in fact, it is the biggest or largest district in Ghana in terms of landmarks. And so it has not been easy for the Central Goja District Assembly and the Savannah Regional Coordinating Council to extend some critical development to the area. And so for the chiefs and people in that particular part of the country, they want a district carved out of the Central Goja District so that it will inform the developmental drive of the area.
It's very important to ask, what has been the response of the Savannah Regional Coordinating Council and the Central Goja District on this call by the people?
Yes, so the chiefs and people of the area actually submitted a petition to government, and for them, they are looking forward for government to, as it were, start a process that will lead to the creation of the new district out of the Central Goja District. So the Savannah Regional Minister has been meeting with the chiefs and people of the area and has been assuring them that the government of the day will take the matter up and seriously and consider that the district, which is one of the largest in the country, will be splitted for development to be extended to that part of the country. Let's take a listen to what the Savannah Regional Minister has been saying.
The Central Goja District is the largest district in the country, based on the landmass that it is actually covering. In fact, it is bigger than 2 regions in the country. But that being the case, it's not necessarily a justification. I said that there is a need for us to look at the resource potential and whether or not the district, when a new one is created, the two can stand independently to generate the internal revenue in the said area for the necessary development of the place. And I can assure you that indeed there is that kind of semblance of meeting that criteria. So rapid development, and indeed we will take the grassroots concerns and make sure that we are able to integrate our development, and we don't do stand alone or silo type of investment. When road infrastructure is going somewhere, we should liaise with Agric to get the dam when there is a need for that dam to be bridged. Then we should get that to be bridged in addition to the construction of the road, and that will be an integrated development. This is
right, Christopher. Usually when you see the elderly gather in the northern part of the country, then it means the situation is really serious and critical as well. Does this look like something that will yield results soon?
Hello, Godwin.
Right, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Right, so I was asking if this is something that is going to yield results soon.
Yes, for the chiefs, this is a very critical challenge for them because looking at the Central Goja District, like I said earlier, is one of the biggest, and that if the place is splitted into 2, it encompasses Bupe, which is the district capital. We have Yape, we have Mpaha, we have Tulue, we have Kustogo, and other areas forming the Central Goja District. And so the chiefs are very serious about it, and they believe that once that is done, it will inform development in the area.
Thank you for the update. Christopher Mwako is our Northern Regional Correspondent. Away from that, the Minister for Labour, Jobs and Employment, Dr. Rashid Pelpuo, has taken a swipe at the Member of Parliament for Otafo, Vincent Ekowasefua, over his declaration to petition the International Labour Organization. Speaking to our Labour Affairs correspondent Daniel Rammani in Accra, the minister said government stands by its decision to terminate the appointment and is prepared to justify the dismissals at the ILO conference next week.
After failing to convince government to reverse its decision on the dismissal of some public sector workers, the Member of Parliament for Otafo, Vincent Ekowasefua, has taken the matter a step further. He has officially petitioned the International Labour Organization, calling on the ILO to intervene and put pressure on the government of Ghana to reinstate the affected workers. In his petition, the MP also urged the ILO to seek answers from the Minister of Labour, Jobs and Employment, Dr. Rashid Pelpuo, on the reasons behind the mass dismissals. But Dr. Pelpuo has strongly described the MP's action as unfair and illogical.
very, very unfair, very, very illogical. In the last, may his soul rest in peace, Atta Mills administration, Atta Mills came and said he was father of all. He did, even including MCEs, DCEs, he didn't dismiss them. He kept them in office for 6 months. He kept everybody in place and said, look, he's a father of all. We should find a way to stop this thing that President Kufuor started by dismissing people. He kept it, and we worked with everybody. When Nanado came into office, everybody, including junior workers, were all dismissed. I don't know why he couldn't see that. Why is he hiding that and just talking about now? He started the trend. They started a trend, and it is working to affect them.
Dr. Pepo insists the dismissals were lawful and necessary and says he is ready to defend the government's position at the upcoming ILO conference.
In fact, in the last 4 days, I was in Geneva. It was all about fair recruitment. And if it is proven that the people they say they have sacked were not recruited fairly, there was no competition, how come they were all NPP? How come all the people who have been recruited in the 12,000 people forcibly and illegally recruited are all MPP? Were there no other Ghanaians? So if he's talking about why they are dismissed, also ask yourself, why are they all one-party people? Why wouldn't you behave like Professor Mills did? Why didn't they behave like that? And why did they just sack the people they sacked and left precedent for others to follow?
The labor dispute continues to draw attention both locally and internationally, with a final resolution now expected to play out on the global stage.
Chief Executive Officer of the National Youth Authority, Usman Abdullah Ayariga, has warned guarantors of the National Apprenticeship Program that candidates who drop out are liable to return all allowances received from the government. He assured that the program is designed to benefit all Ghanaians and not just party supporters.
The National Apprenticeship Program, which targets unemployed youth aged between 15 and 35, has received 70,000 applications, but only 10,000 youth will be selected for this year's program. The Chief Executive Officer of the program, Usman Abdullah Ayariga, emphasized that women and people with disabilities are included in the program. He also said companies in the private sector that are willing to train apprentices will benefit from a tax holiday.
So far as government is taking the burden off you, the guarantor or the parent who is supposed to pay for the apprenticeship program for the student, government is seeking that you as a guarantor, once you guarantee and your ward or the apprentice drops out, not for reason beyond his or her control, i.e. maybe for health grounds or the person is relocating, but the person just wants to drop out because the person feels that he or she wants to drop out, then you, the guarantor, will be held responsible to pay back the money that government has already invested in the apprentice. And so for guarantors, we'll be looking at people such as maybe well-known people, maybe chiefs, maybe assembly members, people who work within the government sector that we can easily trace their salaries, or they can easily be traced to pay back whatever monies that government would have invested on or in the ward who has eloped.
Executive Director of Africa Education Watch, Kofi Asare, urged government not to politicize the program and to consider incorporating green and digital skills. Kofi Asare's comments echo the concerns of many youth who want to ensure the program is inclusive and beneficial to all Ghanaians.
We want to see an NAP that is built on implementation structures that are non-partisan. Let's make use of the district assemblies structures and then the NYA and other agency structures. Let's not create makeshift structures or ad hoc structures and then populate them with party actors who will add political color to it. Okay, it's important that as we target 500,000 jobs in the next 4 years, we are as apolitical as possible, because unemployment has no political colors.
You're still watching Weekend Central live here on TV3, also live on DSTV, channel 279. We are also streaming live on Facebook as well. Make sure your comments and thoughts are left there. We are back soon with more stories. Stay with us. Welcome back. On Regional Hub, Interior Minister Muntaka Mohamed Mubarak has revealed that the ministry is considering the use of drones to monitor Ghana borders as a measure to clamp down, on people who do illegal businesses, especially illicit drug trafficking, using unapproved routes. He also emphasized that the ministry will provide the necessary equipment and logistics to security forces and other agencies to ensure that they have what it takes to deliver efficient services.
For the past 3 days, the Interior Minister has been on a working visit to the northern region, where he's been meeting and interacting with various security agencies and stakeholders, including traditional authorities, the clergy, and Peace Council. His visit was to have a practical feel of the conditions under which the security services and other agencies that fall under the Interior Ministry in the region operate, as well inspect some projects in the region.
We operate 9 functional fire stations across the region. We've stolen 7 as a fire post. The northern region has 16 administrative districts, but unfortunately, these 9 fire stations are present in only 7 districts.
Addressing the media after his tour of the region, Interior Minister Muntaka Mubarak expressed worry over the conditions under which most of the security services operate.
Talking about where a whole region like northern region with 16 districts has only 7 stations that are taking care of their regions. And they gave me a typical example of where there was fire around Karaga or Gushogu, and the tender had to come from Yendi. I mean, there's fire, they are calling you now, you have to travel for more than an hour before you can get there. I mean, what kind of system are we creating?
He assured that the ministry will take urgent steps to address most of the challenges.
We want to thank them for all they are doing. I know they deny themselves sleep so that we can sleep. They deny themselves a lot more so that our borders and our country will remain safe. We appreciate it. His Excellency Daniel Rammani extends his greetings and assure them, as he said in his manifesto, we are determined to root through them, to resource them, to make sure that they have what it takes to be able to protect all of us.
On border security, Muntaka Mubarak revealed that the ministry will deploy drones to monitor activities on Ghana's land borders.
Show you, we are taking a lot of measures because you see, some of the things that are happening, people are using the unapproved routes. You know, in total, we have about 48 entry points in our country, but we have a lot more unapproved. And so we are trying to explore the use of drones, I mean, night vision drones, so that even though they may be at one place, so it may be totally, but they can be monitoring across the route what is happening. And then we are also trying to say that we should not necessarily be using vehicles, we should also be using motorbikes, so that when you use drones and from the center you can see that people are crossing, you can chase them with a motorbike.
Many residents have been rendered homeless after rainstorms swept across the Talented district in the Upper East region. Teaching and learning has come to a standstill as roofs of classroom blocks have been ripped off and other school structures collapsed. Swalega, Wakongo, Gorugu, Go have all been affected. Really unfortunate there. The management of Metro Mass Transit has warned employees to desist from corrupt practices that continue to hinder the smooth operations of the state-owned transport company. During a recent tour of bus terminals in Koforidua, the management team expressed concern about the negative impact of these unethical behaviors on the company's revenue and long-term growth potential.
State-owned transport service Metro Mass Transit has faced years of decline riddled with mismanagement, poor revenue generation, and operational inefficiencies. In Koforidua, buses were grounded, resulting in less routes of operations and shortfall of revenue. The new management, touring terminals in Koforidua and meeting staffs, announced plans to revamp and retool the government transport business.
The company fleet of buses have run all-time low. And this has affected companies seriously in terms of our revenue mobilization. Many of our buses are on rocks, others must be scrapped. And so, but we are saying that in acquiring new buses, the tastes of Ghanaians and their comfortability today in transport operation has changed. So we will not do as what we did yesteryears. We want to see how best we'll be able to procure not less than 500 buses and cargo trucks to start with.
The Metro Mass Transit Managing Director, Caesar Kali, insists that turning the company around would require accountability and a complete departure from past practices.
For us to move forward, and as we strive to bring the company up to speed, all these leakages must be plugged. Because we cannot be talking about mobilizing more resources when there's so much leakages. We need to plug the leakages, so that's why we have sent a signal and a warning to all our employees, our cherished and hard-working workers, that do not defile yourself by taking any small amount from the company. Let's mobilize all of them in a common pool. Then there are conditions of service which we acknowledge that is all-time low. We try to do something about it.
Nanlarugu Baptist Medical Center is facing a critical shortage of nurses. Devastating to know. Authorities say this is affecting healthcare delivery and are calling for urgent action to remedy the situation. A report by Solomon Kwame Kanula.
The Nanlarugu Baptist Medical Center requires 186 professional nurses to function effectively, yet only 82 are currently on duty. At the midwifery unit, only 32 out of the required 82 midwives are available to care for mothers and newborns. Stephen Yidana is the director of nursing at the Nanlarugu Baptist Medical Center.
We don't have the right numbers of staff in both nurses and midwives. Ironically, we have them who have completed studies and they are at home, they are not posted. But we have a small number that has to do the work that the greater number would have done. And so it becomes a big challenge for us. Because of that, we have burnout. People get tired and frustrated.
Despite the pressing need for more nurses, many newly graduated professionals remain unemployed. Stephen Yidana further revealed that poor working conditions and other factors are contributing to the shortage of healthcare professionals.
From the government, that says that nurses must work for at least 3 years before they can proceed on further training. Currently, they even sit in their house for about 3-4 years before they are posted, and they have to wait for another 3 to 5 years before they can go to school. It brings shortages in the system. And so if policies can be changed for people to be able to go to school faster, it will help.
Living conditions in the region, along with ongoing conflict in some areas, have been cited by nurses as factors deterring them from accepting postings to the area. A senior nurse and midwife at the Baptist Medical Center said they are committed to caring for patients despite the challenges they face.
The total number of admissions we get, and then what the resources we have, if we get more, it will help. More monitors, because every mother would like, we do a lot of CS cases, not less than 70 in a month. So with all these things, if you get more equipment, it will really help.
Hospital authorities are calling on the government and other stakeholders to support the Baptist Medical Center with the necessary logistics to continue providing quality healthcare to patients.
Media generals spearheaded a conversation regarding this situation, and knowing that this is still happening in some communities is really, really bad to know, and it needs urgent attention. Let's move from that. The medical superintendent of Ifiankwanta Regional Hospital, Dr. Joseph Tamil, is urging government to expedite the ongoing hospital upgrade, citing delays as a significant hindrance to quality healthcare delivery. He also notes that the outdated equipment and human resource constraints pose a major challenge to the hospital. Irama Smith has more.
Ifiankwanta Regional Hospital, one of the country's oldest health facilities, was established in the 1930s as a military facility and later handed over to the community to serve as a healthcare center. Over the years, the hospital has undergone significant transformations, including the addition of new facilities and services. It has evolved into a secondary facility bordering on tertiary care and is currently the only referral center in the Western region, serving thousands. The hospital offers major specialized treatment, including surgeries, gynecology, among others. Recently, Effiong Hospital has expanded its services to include high-end treatments like dialysis and diagnostic facilities. Despite undergoing significant transformations, the hospital faces numerous challenges. This is a neonatal intensive care unit where newborns aged 0 to 28 days receive critical care. With around 100 admissions per month, the unit head highlights a pressing concern. Many parents cannot afford the costly care, especially for premature babies.
Most of the mothers find it difficult paying their oxygen bills because they are billed per hour or daily, which is huge for them to pay, especially the preterms who spend not less than 2 weeks and some even spending over a month before they are discharged.
The nurses are struggling with inadequate logistics, making their work challenging and stressful despite their best efforts.
Most of the time you have to improvise on a lot of machines so that you can work with the little you have. Currently we don't have any CPAP machine, and so the one we use we improvise. And our warmers too have broken down. Most of the babies here, especially the preterm unit, will have to be in an incubator. That is one baby to an incubator, but because we do not have enough, and so instead of one baby to an incubator, we are pairing the children, and this makes prevention of infection very difficult.
We meet the medical superintendent of the hospital, Dr. Joseph Tambil, who cites outdated equipment in need of replacement and human resource constraints as key challenges.
A lot of our equipment are past their useful age, and so they need replacement. We do not have a full complement of the human resource, the skills that we need. As we speak, for a big hospital like this, we lack an orthopedic surgeon, we lack a neurosurgeon, we lack a neurologist, we lack dermatologists. And I'm not only talking about the doctors, even with the nurses, we also lack some of the specialist nurses that we need.
In 2023, the NPP government contracted to upgrade Effiong Hospital to a tertiary facility. Dr. Joseph Tambil hopes the timely completion will ease the hospital's challenges and appeals to the current government to expedite the process.
We hope that this project, which was started about 2 years ago, can be completed because our hope, a lot of our planning, our hopes, everything is on that project. And that's the reason why we are not getting the new equipment that the hospital needs.
In a related development, Captain DePaul Heavens has donated 40,000 cedis to support the hospital's purchase of an incubator to improve care for premature babies. Until the new project is completed, Effiong Hospital will continue to face challenges in providing holistic health care to Western region and beyond. Irama Smith, TV3 News, Effiong.
We shift our focus from health now. Transport fares at bus terminals in the Volta region have seen a significant reduction following a directive from the Ghana Private Road Transport Union demanding a reduction of fares by 15% starting by Saturday, May 24. While some drivers at the whole main lorry station are complying fully with the directive, others are doing 10% citing spare parts prices as a reason.
I came here this morning to go to Ashama. It's true, they have reduced it. Before it used to be 60 cedis. But when I came, you can see that was the balance that they said they would give me, 5 cedis. And here it is. So I'm happy. Hopefully things will change, but it will be very gradual. I asked the mate, why not 50, why 55? He said, no, Abosokan's papers have not yet reduced their money, so it's not going to be automatic. But even the little change of 5 cedis is a good sign that things will surely change, but gradually.
I'm at Brand 6. I'm a driver. I drive from Ho to Pon, Kuforia, Kumansi. Actually, we have a reduction of 15%. That took effect yesterday, Saturday. And so far, so good. We are complying with the customers. Formerly, Pon, we used to take from Ho to Pon 36 cedis. But as we speak now, the fare is being reduced from 36 to 31 Ghana cedis. Compared to Koforia, formerly it was 72. But currently, we take 62 Ghana cedis. So for now, I can say we are moving smoothly and we are having no problem with the customers.
We are told to collect the fare. We are collecting 60 cedis with the 50%. I load from Ho to Accra. At Accra to is the same fare that we take, the 60 cedis. What we are facing is about the price of this thing, the engine oil, the brake bands, and then the spare parts that we have been buying. So I am appealing to you people to go to the spare parts market and advise them to also reduce the price of the parts for us to be.
Let's take a breather here. My name is Godwin Aside, but we continue the bulletin from here. With fewer young people speaking local dialects in the country, which is very important, fears are mounting over the potential loss of cultural identity, especially when it comes to the Ga language. In a crucial move to safeguard and promote the Ga language, the Gadangwe Council and the Accra College of Education have signed a memorandum of understanding. Take a look.
The speaking of indigenous languages has become a challenge for many young people across the country. These languages include Twi, Fanti, Ewe, Dagomba, Frafra, among others. Figures from the Ministry of Education indicate that 10 million people speak English, while 9 million people speak Twi, 3.8 million people speak Ewe, and 1.2 million speak Ga. In response to this decline and the growing disinterest in speaking Ghanaian languages, the ministry has rolled out several initiatives to reverse the trend. As part of these efforts, the Accra College of Education has partnered with Dangbe community to promote the teaching and speaking of Ga language. Principal of the Accra College of Education, Professor Samuel Awinkene Atintono, expressed the institution's commitment to promoting Ghana's indigenous languages.
What is different now is this morning we took the decision to sign a formal agreement between us and the Gadangbe Council that so long as this Accra College continues to train teachers, every year they will have that slot. What is different, once it is now formalized, then the college has a formal relationship with the council. It means it can continue formally between us and the council.
First Vice President of the Gadangbe Traditional Council, Asaya Kojo Amar, emphasized that the Ga language is gradually becoming extinct, making its revival more urgent than ever.
The Ga language, in particular, in the Greater Accra region. So, rather with time, these two languages are at risk. They are getting obliterated, slowly disappearing, okay, especially in the Ga section of the Greater Accra region. So that's the main reason why we approach the College of Education, the Accra College of Education here, and then put this case across to them, which they have gracefully and warmly accepted.
He also called for increased support for students who choose to study the Ga language.
We also need funding for them, okay? So we made calls to the institutions, and then we also make a call to individual Ghanaians and the Gadangwis, okay, who believe in our cause, who believe that the Ga language and the Dangwe language needs to be sustained like it used to be.
The signing of the Memorandum of Understanding marks a significant step in the ongoing efforts to revitalize the Ga language and to ensure it thrives in generations to come.
The grand finale of Talented Kids will be happening today at exactly 3 p.m. at the National Theatre. Are you voting for your favorite to win? We wait to see who becomes the next winner of Talented Kids. But also be aware that despite its ban, which is the red opioids, otherwise known here in Ghana as Red 225, where others term it as Wunim Red, it's going to be premiered on my latest documentary, which is Hooked on Red, on Wednesday at 9 p.m. You should definitely be tuned in and also set your alarms ready so that you get to know exactly what this documentary entails. Also, Kemini Amano will be live at exactly 2 p.m. on Hot Issues. You should watch